Ha ha! It's me, Kevin Smith, and you're watching How Many Days?
My name is Gavin Michael Booth. How many days is my mission to meet the people who have inspired my filmmaking career the most? Every day, I'll post a video and it's up to you, combined with the power of the World Wide Web, to help me catch their attention.
You know, every film I've made, I spent $500 on one film, spent $33,000 I think was the most I spent on a film.
Right.
Self-distribution, internet distribution. What are your thoughts there?
I don't know. I mean, I came up in a world where it was one thing. When I came into this business, all I knew was how Miramax did it, which is, you know, buy it and start in the top 10 city markets and then roll out from there. I mean, Clerks never played, I don't care who says it, I was there. Clerks never played on more than 50 screens at one time. It played on more than 50 screens, but never at one time. Like, it was always moved around and shit like that. So I know how that worked because I was there for it. I have no idea how somebody like monetizes their movie on the internet. I mean, once again, that becomes like, what are you interested in? If you're looking for an audience, you can find an audience easy, man. Particularly if you put it up there for free, don't charge people, you will instantly have an audience, and that's what every filmmaker really wants. It's not the money, it's not the fame, it's not the notoriety, it's not the ability to make whatever you want. It's knowing that somebody's going to see it. Otherwise, you're working in a fucking vacuum, and what's the point? It's just masturbation. So you can find an audience on the internet, no problem. Monetizing that audience so you can pay back the bills that you incurred making your movie, that becomes trickier. I have no idea how to do that.
Do you think we're going to see a lot more self-distribution and things like the rise of iTunes, like the way if they open it up to independent cinema the same they've done with independent music, where anybody can be on this mainstream source and everyone knows that's where I buy music now, 99 cents a track or 5
right.
A movie?
I think the problem, look, I think iTunes absolutely is a home for a bunch of people whose movies might not have found distribution otherwise. Ed Burns has one of the most top downloaded or top rented independent films. This is the dude who made Brothers McMullen back in the day. On iTunes, couldn't find a distributor, brought it to iTunes, and now it's like one of the top downloads. I don't know what the figures are though. That's the thing, they never tell you. Top download could mean 5,000. But does it matter as long as it's getting an audience and he's earning a little bit on it, and if he's paying off, you know, whatever it costs to make it, then I guess it kind of works out. So it could be viable. But I think that going to the movies will always have that kind of like going to the movies element about it. It's one thing to like rent a DVD and watch at home. It's another thing to get a movie on iTunes, download and watch it on your computer. But like, I think there's still kind of a bias against movies that skip a theatrical release because people are like, well, what's the matter with them? And there are wonderful films that just can't find theatrical release. There are wonderful films that find a theatrical release that you never fucking hear about because they're marketed improperly or people can't get the word out, but it doesn't make them any less valid, you know? So I don't know. It feels like what needs to go away first is the bias people have about how they watch their movies and how that needs to kind of alter, because it's just that, think about the history of exhibition. It just keeps, the venues get smaller and smaller and smaller, you know? It starts with your massive theaters, coliseums, if you will. Over time, you move into big theaters. Over time, you know, Broadway, the stage. Then they have a smaller version of that, which is the movie theater. Then they have your living room watching a TV, and now you can watch shit on an iPod. The venue just keeps getting smaller and smaller, and they keep putting it into everybody's hands. Like, how do you want to watch it, dude? Do you want to watch it this way? Do you want to watch it this way? We will get it to you. I mean, that's great salesmanship. It's great marketplace. Unfortunately, when you spoil people by giving them this, they know that it'll eventually come to this. They don't feel the need to rush out and go see it because they're like, you know what? I'll see it on DVD. If I don't see it there, I'll catch it on here. Or, you know, if now there's always the factor of I will illegally download it or something. But it's just, they've made it wonderful for the audience. They've made it tougher for the filmmakers to actually kind of stand out.
Enter 3D films, which
gimmicks are back. Yeah. Isn't it interesting that historically, like back in the day when people were kind of losing interest in cinema, or there were things competing for the attention or competing for the cinema dollar, all of a sudden they were like, hey man, now we'll do this shit in 3D, or your seat will buzz, or there's an ambulance out front because this movie's so scary somebody fucking died, you know. So now they're getting into the hucksterism, and it's classy now because they're like, now we can take a movie and it's not all about doing this 3D where some of the, like in the old SCTV sketch with John Candy. Now it's about just making it look like a 3D environment where things are displaced from one another. But at the end of the day, scrape that shit all away. It's a bell and whistle, dude. It's just a way to sell something. George Lucas is 3D in his Star Wars trilogy, the original one, because he knows they'll all go again, man. Because they could see it in a way they've never seen it before. So that to me, it's like, I'm all for it because it makes it great and entertaining, but that's not a big move forward. That's ironically a huge step backwards because it's all about exhibition. Hucksterism is exhibitionism. Like, find a way to get them into the theater, and maybe it'll be 3D this time, you know?
Visit howmanydays.ca to find out who's on my list. I won't stop until I've met face to face with these artists.